From the Sports Hub Games Network, this is Fantasy Football Almost Daily with your host, Matt Harrison.
Hey everybody, it's Matt Harrison along with Trevor Jones. We're here together today in person at last. Trevor, gosh, it's so nice to see you.
It's been the first time in the office in maybe a year for me. But yeah, no, it's
a
good.
year?
I think so.
I think it's been longer for me. We're at our downtown Minneapolis office right now. This is Fantasy Football Almost Daily. But before we begin today's DFS show, it helps us immensely if you show your support with a follow and a subscription. It helps us even more if you give a great rating or review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, or some thumbs up on YouTube. And we got our second Fantasy Friday episode coming up. We're actually going to record it right after this DFS show. Trevor will be a part of it. I'll be a part of it. We'll be wearing the same thing. We're not going to change outfits or anything like that. And then Kent Wyrock's going to join us for that show as well. We're going to give you all the matchups from the other 12 games. Christian Peterson and I did the Thursday and Friday games yesterday. So that podcast is already out. And we'll, give you 9 guys to roll the dice on, and you see if you can conquer my 2 tough nuts, Trevor.
I'm looking forward to cracking both of those tough nuts, Matt.
I wanted to mention as well, as this is the DFS show, Fanball's got a full slate of Thanksgiving contests as well. The big one is the $25 football feast. There's 85 players in that one, $25 entry fee, and $500 to first place. There's also a $10, what's it called? The Turkey Gobbler, the Turkey Day Gobbler.
Turkey Day Gobbler, yes.
The Gobbler is $10 to enter, so quite a bit less on the entry fee. Same $500 top prize, but you're battling a lot more people in that one. There's also a 5x5 and a $1 one, basically a Turkey Day Buck Hunter. And then also the Week 13 Sunday slate stuff is up on Fanball too. That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's kind of kick into we always start with the news. Let's start with the news.
News team, assemble!
All right, Trevor. A lot less news today than there was last week. We just had a cavalcade of news last week. A little bit lighter this week. Jaden Daniels pushing to return when healthy enough to do so. Could be Sunday night. Would you be starting Jaden Daniels in any scenario against the Denver Broncos?
Probably not. We saw his arm go the other way, right? Like a month ago. It was one of those elbow, we're not showing that to you again because, that's a rated PG-13 kind of event. But
maybe he can just swing his shoulder around and his elbows just flopping around. He could throw it way further now.
I believe it is the non-throwing elbow, correct? So.
Oh, well, that takes us back a little bit. He doesn't need that non-throwing elbow. The Buffalo Bills signed Brandon Cooks to add to their crazy wide receiver room that, would have been good 8 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think Brandon Cooks and Sammy Watkins were the same draft class, correct? 2014. So we're just going through 2014. We went through Sammy Watkins already, and now they're adding to the collection here.
We're now on Brandon Cooks' 6th team in the NFL. I had to double check to see if he had played for the Bills before. I couldn't remember if he already did.
And does that include both Saints?
I don't think it does include both
so
Saints. Seventh stop. The practice window has opened for Omarion Hampton of the Chargers. He might be back as early as this week.
There's a few guys coming off that the IR list that might have availability a little earlier, than we thought.
And finally, Aaron Rodgers looks like he might be back this week against Buffalo, and they definitely need him because Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, they're not playing that Bears linebacker core again, so they need Rodgers back.
All right, I'm going to put on this little Fanball advertisement, and we're going to be right back.
If you're bringing 5-figure bags to the party each week, Fanball probably isn't for you. If you're gunning for a spot on the Roto Grinders Top 50 DFS rankings, Fanball probably isn't for you either. So who is Fanball for? Fanball is DFS built for fans who have a life outside of sports but still enjoy a good sweat. And at Fanball, you can still 20, 50, or even 100x your entry fee. Every week of the NFL season has 3 feature tournaments, The Peacock is the headliner with $1K to first and just $20 to play. For another contested slaps, try the High Five with $400 to first and just $5 to enter. And of course, there's Buck Hunter, where $1 gives you a shot at the $100 top prize. And if you want a little more on the line, you can find up to $100 NFL double-ups and $50 winner-take-alls. So register today at Fanball to get in on the fun and use promo code ALMOST for an up to $20 deposit match.
All right, Trevor, it's time to dig into week 13. Of course, we have the 4 Thursday and Friday games this week, knocking out a ton of good players from the slate. The highest over-under on the Sunday slate is 47.5, and that's Buffalo-Pittsburgh. Josh Allen might be able to do that on his own in this game. So let's start with a player who used to be, or who should be in close to half of all the lineups you make this week. By the way, I nailed this one last week with Jackson Smith in Jigba. Ooh, that was a good one. Who do you got?
I didn't play JSN last week and didn't win any contests.
Oh,
so
weird.
Should have done that. No, you're right. It's a really low total slate. All the 3 highest total games are on the Thanksgiving Thursday. 50%. I'm going Devon Achane, 7,600 home against New Orleans.
Yeah, I like that one.
He's been shouldering a massive workload recently. Past 4 games, 23, 20, 28, 26 touches. In the passing game specifically, he's got at least 5 catches in each of the past 4 games as well. This lines up perfectly against a New Orleans defense that's allowed the 4th most running back touches to opposing backs this year. We all know Achane's ceiling's elite with the breakaway speed, and he's actually been a great floor play this year. Only 1 game below 16 Fanball points, which is kind of your standard PPR scoring. Favorite running back play on the slate.
I mentioned Josh Allen might score all those points on his own, and he's my guy who's going to be in close to half my lineups this week. This is kind of a weird slate, and we'll go into it more about like, should you spend up on certain positions this week? And it's a weird one in that way. And I think that you should spend up on Josh Allen, the most expensive quarterback on the slate. He's 7,600. Last week was very disappointing against the best defense in the league in Houston, but we're just a week removed from 49.9 fantasy points against the Bucs. And the Pittsburgh's D is definitely more Bucksy than Texansy. The Steelers have allowed the most passing yards in the league so far, so I'm definitely spending up on Josh Allen. A player above 7,000 on Fanball that you would avoid at all costs this week.
Yeah, we kind of won last week on this one with Jonathan Taylor. And we're going to go back to the well. 9,300 at home against Houston, that's tough, man. He's a star. 9,300 just changes the math. Houston's given up over 20 points just twice all season. JT struggled against a very similar Houston defense last year. Obviously, Colts offense is much better, but 48 yards in their first matchup and 117 combo and 1 touchdown in the second, those are great numbers. But if we're paying 9,300, those aren't great numbers. All 3 of Taylor's lowest touch counts of the season have come in the past 4 weeks as well, including exactly just 2 catches in 3 of them. I'll go with CMC, Bijan, or Achane over JT at the top of running back this week.
All right. I think we nailed it last week too with avoid Jonathan Taylor and avoid Bijan Robinson. And we really did that last week and it worked. This week, I'm telling you to avoid Justin Jefferson, and Max Brosmer is probably starting at quarterback for the Vikings, which, I mean, at this point could help him in some way. But Jefferson is at 7,000, and he's playing against the Seahawks, who are one of the best pass defenses in the league. They're only allowing 121 yards per game to the wide receiver position total. And if you got to split that between Addison and Naylor and maybe even a little Adam Thielen sprinkled in there, there's just not enough juice to squeeze on Justin Jefferson. And I don't think a lot of people were probably playing him now anyway. But don't be tempted by the Max Brosmer news is what I'm saying here. All right, favorite quarterback picks of the week. I gave you an expensive one at Josh Allen.
The most expensive.
The most expensive one. I'll start, and I'll give you my I got 2 more still. I'll give you my less expensive, but more expensive of the 2 remaining guys. It's Jacoby Brissett, 5,800 at Tampa. The Bucs have allowed multiple touchdowns in 3 straight and at least 270 yards to each of those quarterbacks. And Brissett has thrown multiple touchdowns in 5 straight games until last week when that streak was broken. He only threw for 1. But he's been over 250 yards passing in 6 straight weeks, including 317 last week, which kept you alive, and 452 the week before. I like Jacoby Brissett. He's suddenly like a top 15 quarterback in the NFL.
Well, it helps when he throws like 50 attempts every week. Yeah. That'll get you there.
He's like channeling his inner Jameis Winston right now.
Yes.
but maybe less picks.
A couple less picks, yeah. This isn't my favorite quarterback, but it is my favorite expensive quarterback. Bo Nix, 6,300 at Washington on Sunday night. Washington's defense is trash. They've given up the fifth most points on the year at 27 per game. Over the last three, they've given up 33 a game. Bo's three best fantasy performances this year were against the Bengals, the Cowboys, and the Giants. Those three teams ranked 30th, 31st, and 32nd in scoring defense. Washington checks in at 28th in that metric, so expect some fireworks. He's combined for 11 total touchdowns in those three games against those trash defenses. Both teams coming off the bye, but one team has Super Bowl aspirations, and the other is planning what to do with their top 10 pick.
That is true.
Don't watch the game because Bo Nix is incredibly frustrating to watch. But at the end of it, you'll see 20 to 25 fantasy points, and you'll live with that.
You heard everybody. Don't watch Sunday Night Football this week.
I think I'll be taking this one off, honestly.
My budget pick is Shedeur Sanders. If you want to get real dirty, 5,100 at home against San Francisco. That's barely above minimum price for a quarterback. Didn't really play overly well against Vegas. 66 of his 209 passing yards came on a behind the line of scrimmage screen pass to Dylan Sampson, and Sampson did the rest. But this is a great matchup against an injured and below average Niners pass defense. They've allowed the most completions, the second most passing yards, the sixth most passing scores, and maybe most importantly, they have the fourth fewest interceptions in the league this year. I think that might be the most important stat for Shedeur in this one.
The Shedeur, it's because the San Francisco defense is so bad that I like that play. And the San Francisco offense is kind of scoring, so it might push Shedeur to air it out a little bit.
Now, I don't think that you will need to actually get as dirty at the quarterback position to get down to Shedeur. But who's your dirty, down, cheap quarterback here?
Yeah, it's hopefully not as disgusting. It's the good quarterback from the 2025 NFL draft class, Cam Ward. 5,300 at home against Jacksonville. Cam Ward's good at football. I know the box scores look terrible and the Titans are terrible. Cam Ward is good. He's being let down a little bit.
Okay.
Fantasy-wise, let's get to it. Jacksonville's an atrocious quarterback defense. Recently, in 3 of their last 4, Davis Mills, 292 and 2. Geno Smith, 284 and 4. Jacoby Brissett, 317 and 1.
That's a who's who of quarterbacks right there.
Those are guys. 3 of those guys will not be NFL starters week 1 next year.
Mm-hmm.
Ward, playing some of his best ball of the year recently. 256 and 1 and 194 and 1 through the air in the last 2 weeks. In addition to 33 ground yards and 37 ground yards and a touchdown. And those are against Seattle and Houston, 2 of the best defenses in the league. Half of his 42 attempts last week were to backs and tight ends, which should be the formula moving forward because the receiving core is non-functional. I actually think planning the offense like this increases his ceiling. James Proche, something, 8th-year veteran receiver, has 6 catches over the last 3 years, half of which came last week. So actually, Jacksonville, they struggle against the tight end. I think Cam Ward's playing pretty well, and this is a good spot for him.
Trevor, I want you to move the microphone slightly closer to your face. Yeah,
there we go.
I think it's going to sound just a little bit better now. All right, we'll go to the running back position. My expensive pick, Christian McCaffrey at 8,700. And I had Gibbs here last week, by the way. Oh, yeah.
You had Gibbs and JSN. That's a...
Yeah, I made a little money on my DFS plays last week. To be honest, I don't like McCaffrey as much as some of my other plays this week. And I might just avoid the high-priced runners overall because I don't really like them on this slate. But if I'm going to spend up on a running back, it's going to be McCaffrey. He's averaging 25 touches per game. He had 31 last week. And he's had the most receptions in the league, and not amongst running backs, amongst all of the people in the league. He's got 81 receptions. Puka and JSN are tied at 80. So you're basically getting a Puka Nacua at running back plus whatever he does
plus his 20 carries
on the ground.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Now, the matchup's not good. The Browns have allowed 6 total touchdowns to running backs this year. That's very low. They've given up the 9th fewest combo yards to the running back position at 110 per game. But if it's 110, McCaffrey gets 100 of that. So we got 100 yards. We found some way. He's averaging like 7 catches per game. There's 17 PPR points right there. If he scores any touchdowns, we're fine.
Yeah, I agree. It's not as good of a spot as it normally is, just with the Browns being kind of a slog of an offense and having a legit good defense. But like you said, if there's running back production to be had, it's just CMCs, and that's it.
Yeah. Who's your budget running back here?
I think
you got to do a high price running back.
He's not super expensive, but we got Breece Hall, 6K home against Atlanta. Breece is averaging 19.5 touches over the past 4 games. Tyrod Taylor starting helps Brees, as he'll see some more passing game work because Tyrod Taylor can complete passes, unlike the previous gentleman there. And Taylor start last week. Brees caught all 4 of his targets for 75 yards. That was the most he'd been targeted since week 5.
Mhm.
The Atlanta run defense is very gettable. Bottom third of the league in rushing yards and receiving yards allowed to backs, as well as the 5th most receiving touchdowns. 6,000, pretty good price for a guy who might see 20 carries in what should be a decently back and forth game.
Yeah. I've got Kenny Gainwell as my budget running back, 5,300 against Buffalo this week. Touch totals last week, they were 18-16 in favor of Jaylen Warren. That's a pretty close split, though. And it's worth noting that Gainwell had more yards on the ground, 92-68, and he caught 6 balls for 30 yards, and Warren wasn't even targeted in that game. This week, it's the Bills. They might be the worst run defense in the league, 5.2 yards per carry. That's second worst. 118 rushing yards per game. That's the third most. 14 rushing scores to running backs. That's the most. There's enough to go around for the runners this week. Kenny Gainwell's in a good spot. I mean, Jaylen Warren might be even in a better spot too. I wouldn't mind starting either of those guys this week.
I think Gainwell's maybe like 600-700 less than Jaylen Warren. So if they're getting kind of the same workload, I agree that Gainwell's the way to go there. Cheap running back, I'm gonna go with Dylan Sampson.
I want to talk to Sampson. You don't know that reference? Come on.
Ralph Sampson? I don't
know. That was from Half Baked.
Oh, okay. No, I have not seen that. That's probably an error on my part. But, Jalen Sampson, 4,600 at home against the Niners. Quinshon Judkins likely out with a concussion. Keep an eye on that throughout the week. Sampson dominated the non-Judkins running back snaps last week. The rookie saw 9 touches, including all the running back pass work, compared to Jerome Ford's 1 touch. Sampson flashed his explosiveness with the aforementioned 66-yard receiving touchdown last week, where he did all the work. In 4 of their last 5 games, the Niners have allowed 7, 5, 11, and 8 catches to opposing RBs. You expect Sampson to get a few more early down carries with Judkins hurt. And then plus all the receiving work that the Browns have to offer, which is basically all his. Cleveland obviously doesn't trust Shadur right now in the red zone. Quinshon Judkins, I think, saw like 4 or 5 Wildcat snaps in the red zone. So maybe that stuff shifts. He gets 1 or 2 Wildcat carries as well. Dylan Sampson, 4,600.
4,600. That's pretty good price. You're convincing me.
I think that's the cheapest running back we've offered in a minute to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Wide receiver plays. I don't really like the expensive wide receivers at all on this slate. My expensive wide receiver is 5,400. It's Troy Franklin against Washington. Take the guy who leads the team in red zone targets against the D that's allowing the 7th most touchdowns in the league to the wide receiver position. And oh, by the way, the 4th most yards. If you consider him the wide receiver 2 behind Sutton, that's okay, because second wide receivers have gotten it done against Washington. Torrey Horton scored twice in week 9. Jamison Williams had 119 in a score in week 10. The Dolphins really don't have a second wide receiver, so they didn't really do much in week 11. But I like Troy Franklin a lot. He's one of my sneaky guys that I'm trying to acquire on all of my dynasty rosters right now, because I think that next year he just skyrockets.
That's good. What, Sutton's like 30, 31?
Yep.
Yeah. Franklin's got the shower narrative with Mr. Nix.
You got to stop talking about that. Stop thinking about the dudes in the showers together.
Speaking of Oregon,
what?
Old Oregon players.
Oh,
no. So yeah, expensive receiver. I'll go Chris Olave, 6,400 at Miami this week. Since Tyler Shuck took over.
He's not an Oregon player.
Sorry. Yeah. The first line in my notes is since Tyler Shuck took over, and I went Shuck Oregon from like 7 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
That was just in my Trevor head, like just spitting out nonsense.
Trevor head.
Expecting the listeners to get it. Yeah.
Okay.
No, so we'll go Chris Olave, who's not from Oregon, since Tyler Shuck took over, who is from Oregon. Olave has 38 targets in those 4 games.
Okay.
Alvin Kamara's banged up, leaving the Saints with 1.5 good skill position players. We'll throw Juwan Johnson. We'll call him a half good skill position player. Chris Olave's floor has been strong all season long, clearing 11 PPR points in every game but 1. New Orleans went very throw heavy last week, despite it being a 1-possession game most of the game. Shuck had 43 attempts to just 10 RB carries. So I think this could be kind of a throw heavy game plan, and Chris Olave is easily their best target.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked Olave last week in this podcast too. My budget wide receiver guy that you've liked a couple of times, and I poo-pooed him before, but I'm not poo-pooing Parker Washington this week. 4,700 at Tennessee. He matches up with the best matchup of all the wide receivers, and they might get Brian Thomas Jr. back in this one. It looks like they will. But he gets slot corner Marcus Harris, who is definitely a real person. And last week, he wasn't targeted too much. But the week before, the Texans picked on him, and he allowed a 132 passer rating in his coverage. And that was the game where Harris played 50 snaps in that game. He's only played 70 other snaps the rest of the season. He's a backup to a backup. Overall, the Titans have allowed the 5th most yards this season to wide receivers. I think Parker Washington's in a good spot, and I think it helps that he's got Jacoby Myers on one side and maybe Brian Thomas on the other side. Parker Washington just might be wide open the whole game.
And Trevor loves throwing him the ball. Like, that's his favorite.
Are you talking in the third person right now?
I wish I was the starting quarterback for the Jags. No, I like that pick. Cheap receiver, I'll go with Michael Wilson, 5,700 at Tampa. So it's not crazy cheap.
Your cheap wide receiver was
more expensive
than my expensive wide receiver. All right.
I didn't really like a lot of the cheap receivers this week. Jonathan Gannon said that Marvin Harrison's likely out another week, so that leaves Wilson as the top receiver for the Cardinals again. The 2-game run this guy's on is up there with like any 2-game stretch anyone's had in the league. 25 catches on 33 targets for 303 yards.
Yeah.
Tampa's been getting cooked by opposing receivers in their 3 games post their bye. They've allowed 6 different receivers to clear 14 PPR points, including Mac Hollins, Kyle Williams, and Tyrell Shavers, who I learned of like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Human being. On the year, the Bucs have permitted the 5th most catches and 7th most yards to receivers. Make sure Baker's playing in this one, which it sounds like he will, because you want them to be pushed offensively a little bit to keep Wilson throwing. But Jacoby Brissett clearly just loves, 40 attempts is kind of his floor, I guess. So
let's do it.
Let's fire Michael Wilson up.
I'm gonna go with his teammate Trey McBride as my expensive tight end, 7,200 at Tampa Bay. And you don't need me to tell you about Trey McBride's awesome stats, but let's talk about the Bucs, who've basically faced no one at the tight end position this year. They really haven't. Dallas Goedert had a 2-touchdown day. AJ Barner did too. Colby Parkinson scored last week. They faced Sam Laporta earlier in the year. That's like all the tight ends they've faced. It's just been anonymous guys the rest of the way. So I liked Brissett enough. I mean, you like the passing game too. Why wouldn't you stack him with McBride in a week where I don't like a lot of the high-priced wide receivers? I don't like a lot of the high-priced runners. I'm going to get a high-priced tight end here.
Yeah, and tight end, usually the floor is kind of what you're worried about.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of had a floor week last week, and that was 9 for 89 or 79.
Yeah,
it's just like 17 points. That's not terrible. Expensive tight end. I'm going George Kittle, 5,800 at Cleveland. Cleveland's defense is ranked top 7 against fantasy quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers, but they're gettable against tight ends as they're just middle of the pack against that position. Kittle's been excellent recently, at least 6 catches and 67 yards in 3 straight, as well as 3 touchdowns during that stretch. Cleveland has allowed the 2nd fewest catches and receiving yards to wide receivers. So you really think that it's got to be Kittle and CMC if San Francisco's going to move the ball. And 5,800, again, Kittle's a guy with a ceiling, right? That's one of the few tight ends who can get to 25 points on the week.
Might be a little bit of a slog in Cleveland too, because the weather's supposed to be kind of nasty. Maybe snow, rain, sleet mixture. It might be pretty bad. My budget guys from the same game, Harold Fannin, the other tight end in that game, 3,800 against San Francisco. And I don't think that you need to go super cheap at tight end this week, but if you fill in enough guys and you got 3,800 left in your kitty for the wide receiver, tight end, or the flex, Harold Fannin's not bad. He was Shadour's favorite target last week. Caught 4 of 6 targets for 40 yards. Faces a San Francisco team that's given up the 6th most touchdowns to opposing tight ends, which includes 4 in the last 4 weeks. And David Njoku, notably, played last week, was not targeted once by Shadour.
It makes sense that they're featuring Fannin. I think David Njoku's probably not on the team next year with his cap situation.
Probably not.
Harold Fannin's a good player. Yeah, I like that one.
All right. Who do you got on the budget side?
I'm stealing one that you did last week. Gunnar Helm.
Hey, that worked last week.
Yeah, 3,200 at home against the Jags. We mentioned this a few times. Just pick on the Jacksonville tight end defense. Bottom 6 in catches, yards, touchdowns allowed to the position. Honestly, only allowing the 9 for 79 to Trey McBride last week was kind of a win. The Titans rookie tight end has 10 catches over the past 2 weeks. Led the team in targets last week as well. Tennessee is beat to hell at receiver. No Calvin Ridley. Probably no Alec Iomanor. That leaves Van Jefferson, Chimray DK, and that James Prochet thing seeing the most snaps.
They had the James Prochet thing.
Yeah, if you're listening, James, I'm sorry, buddy. But
Xavier Restrepo, come on.
Yeah, he runs a 4.92 40.
4.9?
Yeah, that's a rookie receiver. I was gonna say. So Gunnar Helm, I think he's gonna be one of the only actual NFL players that will be available for Cam Ward to throw to.
I did run a 40 this last fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I was at 5'2".
That's great.
That wasn't bad.
So you're Grady Jarrett.
Yeah, at 45 years old.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, hey, I still got it. Let's go. Deep sleepers this week. My pick is John Mechie. He's only 3,500 against Atlanta, and this is the minimum price that you can find for a top wide receiver on a team in the league. And John Mechie is the top wide receiver on the Jets right now. He led the Jets in receiving yards for 2 straight weeks, also scored a touchdown in both of those games. They switched to Tyrod last week, and that made passing a little bit easier for the Jets. Caught 6 of his 7 targets last week for 65 yards and a score. And Atlanta has allowed at least 16 PPR points to a wide receiver every week for the last 5 weeks.
Jeez.
So if you can guarantee me 16 PPR points for John Mechie at 3,500, you paid off for me right there.
Yeah, I consider Mechie. That's a really good one. I think my guy, you could call him the number 1 receiver for his team, and he is cheaper.
Oh,
Devon Vele is 3,100. He plays for the Saints at Miami. Yes.
You just used Chris Olave.
I did. We're just going Saints stack this week. So Vele has led the Saints receivers in snaps in 2 straight games.
Okay.
89 and 87% of snaps played. Saw 7 targets in the first game post the bye. New Orleans traded a 4th round pick for this guy before the season, which low-key one of the worst trades of the year. Like, you can't be top 3 odds to be the number 1 pick and be trading 4th round picks for undrafted 26-year-old receivers.
Yeah.
Whew. But anyways, aside from that, they do need to see what they have. I mean, they gave up real capital for the guy. This is mostly about a dirt cheap price tag and a guy who projects to 5 to 6 targets. Like you said, I don't know if we need all of these dirty min salary guys this week, but if you do need 1 or 2, we've got some options.
All right, Trevor, did you come up with a lineup for this week's
I do.
Internal contest that you're going to try to beat me with?
I did, and I don't like it at all. So we'll go through it. But
so avoid this lineup.
Yeah. So I took both my quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Cam Ward.
Okay.
Running back, we got Breece Hall, and then we're going to go through 3 Devons. We'll go Devon Achane, Devon Vele, and Devon Tay Adams.
Oh, there we go.
Chris Olave, Kittle, and I do have Justin Jefferson, which I don't really love right now. But
why do you have Justin Jefferson in? You can spend
I've got
$7,100.
Yeah.
So much better in so many better
Lucky
ways.
might play Justin Jefferson 7K. Nico Collins, I don't love.
You could tweak things around a little. You could get a little bit better than Cam Ward.
Yes,
like you could get Brissett in your lineup or something like that.
There's a couple of moves that'll be shoving JJ out probably.
All right. Just a reminder on Game Blazers. If you try Game Blazers this week, you can win your share of $40,000 in prizes here in week 13. That's also Thanksgiving week for those scoring at home. If you sign up with referral code FFAD, you get a free starter pack and a free rare pack, and then they'll give you an option to buy 2 more rare packs, which usually cost $50 for only $5. What a deal. Learn more at gameblazers.com. Trevor, what's the plan for your first Fantasy Friday show? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm getting called up to the big leagues.
Oh my gosh.
This is my first start. Well, I might need an OC in the ear to,
I know Scott Fish has been coaching you up on the sidelines over the week.
Yep. Fish has given me all the confidence, I think. He's turning me into, just a guy who can really handle the offense, I think. And just kind of be a point guard and just get it to the playmakers.
Caretaker quarterback right now, game manager.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what you can do on the next episode of Fantasy Football Almost Daily. We'll see you then.
This was Fantasy Football Almost Daily. Please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts.